Never worked on anything like this before, so. That's really wow. It's really, yeah, that's true. This is from the House Un-American Activities Committee. And what they, yeah, the House Un-American Activities Committee, really weird, those people. The Ku Klux Klan, to investigate the Ku Klux Klan and complain that they're spending money on good times instead of rope. It's really very strange. I bought a picture out here, and it says, support your local police. And it's really funny, you know, you probably have seen the picture. It's a picture of Southerners. And a lot of people in the North aren't hip to, is that Southerners are less sophisticated than Northerners, and they smile when they see a camera. So people in the North figure, well, you know, they're being sort of surly when they're not. They're just shit kickers, and that's the way they look, and not being snotty at all. And not knowing about the geography in the South. That's happened to Melvin Belli, you know. In fact, with Ruby, his sound just didn't sound good to the Southerners. It's like if any Northern attorney would, or if any guy from Biloxi could be the brightest guy in the world, try to sell an Italian and Jewish trials of the facts anything, and really try to sell them, and he couldn't sell a Northern Jew. Look here now, I like Italian people. You know what to say now? And I'll tell you, jurors here, I got a cute little story about this old Jew boy back home. Wow, the people flip out, man. What the hell did I say? Why did everybody get so hot? Well, you just don't understand, man. You look south, that's all. You just, your hair's wet, that's where it's at, man. And I'm of a Semitic background, Jewish, you know, and the reason I think that Ruby did it was that as a kid I always had a lot of hostility for Christians my age. And because they could duke, and I never had any eyes for fighting. And there's very strange ambivalence to, you know, resent people for something but dig them for it too. And Ruby's about 10 years older than I am. And the neighborhood he came from, they were, I'm sure, way less Jews. Texas, cowboy hats, you know. You got 90-year-old guys looking for virility. So I'm sure what happened in his mind, he figured if I kill the guy that killed the president, the Christians will go, what guts he had. We thought the Jew chicken shit, but there he is. A Jewish Billy the Kid came out of the West. And all kiss him and hug him and love him. And, but you know, that was fantasy, you know. It's a different country, man. And it's, for the last 4 years I spent in and out of the courts, and I learned some very groovy things. I learned one that, well, first, protest, anybody who protests is very religious. Because that's all protest is as long as the federal courts are open, there can't be any martial law, and I don't care if 9 million people sing their ass off, forget about it. The government's not set up. In other words, you can't do anything by marching. It's just forget about it. There's any kind of relief you want in the court. All of it. If I tell you that to go to any federal judge and tell him, we're here in Selma, Alabama, just give him a piece of paper and say, I'm poor and I don't have an attorney. And I understand in the federal system that you have former paupers proceedings, where if a poor person comes and hasn't got counsel, you let him proceed for nothing in this court, and you'll get him counsel. Now, I got a group of people, and we want to march through the town. And we're made up of nuns and priests and rabbis and educators, and we're dressed well, and what our idea is that we'll march through the town and look well dressed, and we'll impress the townspeople with our power. And they'll see that it's smart to desegregate and get some class. But the fear that we have is that it's quite inflammatory to these people who have never seen black and white people hold hands, and they might attack us. And if they attack us, we'll lose our point. Because what our point is to show how good it is to be integrated. So it'll be a barter communication system. And to say that if we'll make trouble, don't march is no answer. So what we'd like, since there's no other adequate remedy law, to pray to this court, we'll order the governor of the state to order out the National Guard and line the streets so we can do our march right and protect us in our rights. I'm sure that any federal judge would sign it. Because in the federal courts, you see, what's happened to the law system is that it's been argued in insurance offices. And there's, in other words, you can argue the fact, but you can't argue the law. A lot of people think that you can just, there's certain principles in law, they just mop like this. That's what will hang up is with the obscenity laws. Because they're very precise, and the people who are hung up with it are the religious people. The people who can see what's behind the law. And I always used to wonder about that. People say, well, geez, this guy's worrying that this is horny, and I never could figure it out. And what I figured out is they have a lower ignition point. They get hornier quicker. You know, what's really happened, especially in California, there's an obscenity circus, actually. And what the whole thing is, in 1961, the California legislature took the power away from the police authority. At that time, before 1961, the decision of what was read would have to go through the police authority because there was no definition of the word obscene, and the guy would get busted, and then we have to go to defend it. So this sort of chilled all the reading. So the legislature said, well, what we'll do is we'll make obscene very precise. We'll name the thing. We'll make it against the law. It'll only be one law. Then if anyone wants to bust somebody for selling something obscene, he has to come to the judge first. He said there's a violation of the law. And this way you won't cut the court out of the scene. Well, the fact that there's a lot of local people that have the, you see, where the power is having the power. And if you've got the control over the vice, you can make nigger town here, whore town here. That's what the religious faction does. Religion recognizes decency, where the Constitution doesn't. There's no decent and indecent. The Constitution only recognizes that all people, when they are illegal, are immoral. And then they get busted and they're indecent. And that's where it's at. And since there's no protection in the law, in other words, when we started out with the law, the reason for the law, I'm sure, is that we had to have some kind of rules. The guy said, okay, let's see, we'll make it real simple. We'll vote on it. We'll sleep in area A. Is that agreed? I said, okay, agreed. We'll eat in area B. Agreed? Okay, throw a crap in area C. We all agree on it? It's okay. A, B, and sleep. Eat, sleep, and crap. Good deal. Okay. And that was the first rule. And everybody went to sleep. And the guy woke up, he got a face full of crap. Pow! So what's the deal? I thought we had a rule here. A, B, and C. And I woke up, I got a face full of crap. So they realized something, that making the rule meant nothing until you could enforce it. So they said, well, let's see, we'll enforce the law, and we'll have it that, okay, we won't make it a right because we don't want it to be a remedy. In other words, we don't want to wait till the crap in our face till we can enforce the right. It'll just be a flat-out penalty. Prescribe it in front, okay? Anybody throws any crap on us while we're sleeping or eating gets thrown in the crap house. We agree on it? That's, well, but what if it's my mother or my aunt? What's that got to do with it? What I mean, a very important thing. No, you understand. That turns on the fact. The law is that anybody gets thrown right into crap house. That's it. That's where it's at, okay? Your intent will try on the fact. But the law will be it. Anybody in the crap house, mop, okay. All right. They vote on it, everybody's happy. Guy wakes up again, pow, another face full of crap. But he sees he's all alone. And everybody's having a big party. He said, what the hell's the deal? I thought we had a rule. They said, oh, it's a religious holiday. Oh. So So this guy said, well, we're going to separate the church and the state right now. Pow. Church is here, and the state is here. That's the only thing we'll answer to. All right, solid. That'll be the rule. Good. Okay, but then they decided that there's a problem, because then they had to have more rules and more rules and more, like, bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So, well, let's see now. We got to get somebody to throw these people in the crap house, because it's really getting too big a job for me, and we'll get law enforcement. We'll put an ad in the paper, that's all. We're good. Interview the guys. Look, we're trying to get... What our problem is, we're trying to get some sleep, you see. And people are throwing crap on us. Now, when the community was about a handful, we could sort of control it, you know. But now there's a lot of people moving in, and the community's just too big. So we actually need somebody to throw them in the crap house for us. And here's the deal now. If you want the job, you take the job. Now, why we're giving you the job is that everybody was doing their uncle favors and their aunt favors, and it just got ridiculous. So we want a straight, hard rule. We give you the law, you enforce it. I don't care if somebody's mother's sick, dying, whack them out. That's it. Here's a stick and a gun. But you got to do me one favor, you see. When you throw them in the crap house, even though you're working for me, I got to do business with these assholes, you understand? And you'll hear me say a lot of times, like, take a certain kind of mentality to do this work, you know, but, anyway, that's just bullshit. I got to, you know, go along with it, see. And I'll wait in the back room, and I'll make sure you throw them all in the crap house. But you be the bad guy. Because I got to do business with the people, and you don't understand what it is, you know. And you just take care. All right, now you got a riot, right? Now you get a poor cop with a short-sleeved shirt in his hand. There's everybody wailing their ass off sticks and stones. And there's a cop with a stick in his hand, and the people in the Gestapo at him. Gestapo schmuck on the mailman. That's just where he's at. So the protest against the cop is insane. Like it's like protesting against the mailman in the post office. And what happens is that the split comes. That's the dangerous thing that's happening in the country. If the people really get an idea that you can really do it the Ku Klux Klan way, or the Corps way, or Playboy way. In other words, if anybody can take any life, liberty, or any kind of property away from you without an order of the court, we're fucked. That's it, Jim. That's just where it's at. You got to do it with the court, the legal way. And if you don't, you just forget about it, man. Because if you can argue and really prove something without the court, then you're screwed, Daddy. Yeah, it's really tough times. And the problem is that it's not that we'll turn into a country of criminals, but we'll turn into a country of lawless people that'll be easily slain by a country that's better organized, or an enemy within. Because that's our only strength, you know, is our leader is a piece of paper. That's just where it's at. We don't have any leaders in this country. Anybody got a leader, then depending on the whim of the leader. In other words, it's tough to do up this country because you have to kill everybody, because anybody who's got the paper has got the government. That's what the Constitution is. You got the charter, you know where it's at. And what I think has happened, probably in Los Angeles mostly, is that it's not his fault, it's like somebody's grandfather. The police chief he's been in too long, and the mistake was that the constitutionally elected officer, the mayor, is really the police chief. Because the police chief elects the mayor. Because the police chief is in 15, 18 years. So it figures, man, that if one mayor didn't dump him, then he got put in by the mayor. And that mayor stayed in and pushed that cat out. Because what you got is, if you're running for office, I'm sure if you're even the governor, the police chief really has the keys to the city. He can really make it happen for you. He can just open up everything for you. The newspapers are the liaison for the police department. Because it's like a press agency. In other words, I feel that there's no crime left anymore. What happened, the economy went way up, the status symbol went way down, the Volkswagen is in, the Cadillac is out. And there's no status symbol, there's no virile image in being a criminal. Analysis, screw that. So no one wants to be a criminal if you're going to be sick. And the only reason you steal is to get something. You need a status symbol and some money, and and the task force, they've never had a layoff in the police department for the last 20 years. So you've got a huge task force who are just out of work. And I assume that a lot of people get busted. And because it happens so slow, you just sort of figure that it's right. And the young policeman doesn't know the difference until somebody, not by protest, actually sits the man down with a civil rights action. Explains to him that the division of power is here. That we the people elect it, make the law, and the police only enforce it later. And as far as taking care of you, what's really happened think what happened. I think in 1951, just a guess figure, there were 15,000 dope fiends in the state of California, heroin addicts. All right, now they started with a task force. Now the reason that heroin is against the law is that it's a schleifo. In other words, it destroys the ego, and the only reason you get the buildings going up or anything keeping up with the Joneses is an ego. And with heroin addicts, you build the building and the cat goes, hey, that's cool, baby, that's it. So since it's not a productive drug, the people aren't organized. They lose the power of self-control. They're not organized people. So you know that an organization that was created, a task force to knock them out, did it in 2 months. I mean, it just whacked them all out. So for the last 5 years, you've had 3 dope fiends left and 19,000 peace officers and nylene testing stations, and they're just exhausted, these 3 dope fiends. Like the one dope fiend, so one guy works for the county, he's undercover. Like, okay, now, who sold it to you? Just give us names, everybody's names. That's, well, I don't know, it's, look, I'm tired of being a dope fiend. I work for the county, and the county cuts me loose, then I work for the federal agents. And I'm exhausted. There's no more dope fiends left, I'm telling you. You recognize me, schmuck? It's the 3rd time out. I'm the guy who sold it to you, sold it to him, sold it to the other man. Is that your attitude? You want to ruin a program that we built? You know how many beds are in the rehabilitation center? You're going to screw up a whole program, right? For your selfishness. I'm sorry, but I just don't want to take more dope. All right, I'm not going to close you out. You'll think about it a while. So now what happens is that they run out of the heroin, and now they move to a very dangerous area. Dangerous drugs. Now, what happens there is that with heroin, you go to the source. But the source with dangerous drugs, amphetamines, is Park Lilly and Olin Matson, Squibb. And the drugs aren't bad in themselves. So what happens is the legislature will discriminate against poor schmucks who can't afford a prescription. And that law is unconstitutional. You can't discriminate. In other words, when the Herald Examiner had the thing about Cooper takes stimulant, the astronaut, to say that the government's machine is worth more than the truck driver's machine is dopey. Marijuana, I never smoked pot, I never dug it. It's schleifo high. It'll probably be legal. I figured it'd be legal in about 3 years. Most of the law students I know smoke marijuana, that's why, and they'll and another, I want to tell you something. Well, you probably noticed it. I haven't worked for about 6 months, 7 months. And I find myself looking for hunks of things I've done before, and then lapsing into conversation. So, like, all of a sudden you'll follow me for a while, and you say, gee, I didn't follow it either, so I want you to know that. Gee, the guy's bright, and schmuck, you know, I go, rap, 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 rap. Yeah. Judges really get away with murder with that. They go to and they get a complete blank out there. That's cute, man. That's who I was. When he introduced me, it'd be a beautiful put on if he just kept talking. It's about an hour and a half. He gives a. They're all back here. you know who takes care of the cleaning of this? Now see, that's. I asked him if he knew who took care of the cleaning of this. There's probably a lot of things that you don't know about in this school. And I'll tell you one thing that. One thing is amazing that none of us. I know that you don't know, and I don't know either. I really wouldn't know how to. Really, if you put me right up tight with it, impeach the president. No, I don't. No, it's like we really don't know really the workings of the government. And I've got it. Well, I'm making a couple of steps now. I'm up to mayors, but I really don't know where. Yeah, that other step is, because it must be. Well, poor Lyndon Johnson is. Yeah, that's respect your police department. He has 90 strikes against him. I mean, anybody that talks that way is how can if Albert Einstein talked that way, we never had a bomb. Yeah. My name's Albert Einstein, and get out of here. But I want to talk to you. I got some good stuff here, and you don't have any good stuff. You're a moron. How can you just wait on the porch there? So, yeah, we pissed away $1 million in Radio Free Europe and never gave a nickel to the South. It's amazing. It's just for Wallace to come up to the North, you dig how desperate the South looks to the North for respect. He was for him to flip out and just go on the radio and say, well, we're not so bad, or you do it, and he just the Earth people, they just don't know what's happening, man. Just they're not slick. Yeah, it's that guy, that what was the Ku Klux Klan guy, Shelton. Really felt sorry for that cat because he was he said, well, first what happens is that there's a constant attack on the Constitution. First they did the Fifth Amendment, they just garbaged that up. Then they attacked mobsters and hoodlums. So the fact that the Fifth Amendment was ever raised in court only shows the impropriety of the court to ever challenge anybody. So if the guy had to say it that many times, I refuse to testify, kept throwing mud on the Fifth Amendment. And then when they finished up with the Fifth Amendment, then the Fourth Amendment got rapped out. Then the First Amendment is just for perverts. So it gets to be that just by using that kind of a ban. So here's the guy Shelton, he's saying, I refuse to testify. And he got so frightened that after a while he refused to admit that he was a United States citizen. Because he just was afraid of the North. Because the last time he said anything, he wrote some paper and they screwed him out of everything. Man. Just wanted to really cool it, man. But yeah, and it's like, the only time that the South has ever gotten, that's why they're the best soldiers. Even because it's the only time they ever got any acceptance. They love the war, man. So at least they can be somebody, something. But there are no communists. They made it up. Because it's just some chance to get some kind of status, man. And probably, why we're in Vietnam, I believe, well, I think that there's a very good government called the Catholic Church. And they are our allies. But they have no place within the government. What I think is that there's probably, like Howard Johnson franchises, in Rome, they give out the franchises. And the rule is, with the franchise, that you can apply it to the geography, as long as you keep the name and, and keep some semblance. But you can change the rules. Because I'm sure there was no meeting with God about meat on Friday and contraceptives. So that's it, man. Obviously, it's a man-made rule. So you got all these Howard Johnson franchises, and in each town, you probably have more franchises than courts. And since each franchise has a lot of employees, and since the communists are their enemy and actually kill them, I can understand why they're anxious to get some aid. And that's what I think we're doing in Vietnam. The Catholic War started in 1945 with the communist riders. So we're always fighting a communist scene, and it's really a Catholic scene. And we should, like, take a stand on it and give them aid and support. Because I always do wonder about that. You know, in fact, I know from spending 2 years reading United States Supreme Court reports and reading dissent opinions in all these First Amendment cases, which really did pull the covers off the whole court system in this country, that there's really a lot of judges that are up on the stand who are Jewish judges and Catholic judges, which is impossible under our system, and who really have some sort of a moral code, you know, that what I think is probably is that there's maybe because if you're a child molester and you cop out to the priest, nobody in the neighborhood ever finds out about it, except the kids. So since they have a sort of a organization where you tell him the scene, and you just got the control over the nutwits, lotswits, you know, well then maybe it's that's the resentment about talking about those kind of things in public. And it's very clear what the First Amendment is all about. It's communication. The idea is of no importance, no. Because nobody's going to say what informs, what educates. Because what amuses one man educates the other. So all they're interested in is the communication system, and never any bar to the communication system. Because a country can only be strong knowing all about the bad things. That's where we get our strength. A knowledge of syphilis is not an instruction to get it. And only if you know about all the bad are you cool and ready for the bad, if there is any bad. That's what happened to Hitler, you know. They had him bullshitted. Am I doing all right? You're doing great. Don't kid yourself, dude. They love us, I'm telling you. And that's, ask me something. Just anything you want to ask me, I'll just tell you. I never did do this before, but I want to just confess for sex, drugs, and the bomb. How I keep from getting sued? Why, truth. That's the greatest defense against libel. And by the way, there is a truth. That's another thing about it's not a truth and a moral truth. There's certain, like, you know, principles that fit here. And make it a longer one next time. Say, how do you keep from... I can even make up things that maybe people in the front didn't hear. Ventriloquist. That's a really dopey book. Dick, I got some groovy to tell you. I did the Melvin Belli show. So, I was on the show, this is like last week, it'll be on tonight. And it just said something about, I said crap. And they had an intermission then. And Melvin Belli, who's a moderator, says to the floor man, hey, is that all right to say crap? That's amazing. Melvin Belli, an attorney, has this schmuck on the floor so I can say crap. So what the floor man says is, no, I just talked to our attorney, Mr. Goldstein, and he says it's not all right. So dig where they held court. That was it. The jury, they're just solid, that's where it's at. It was just absurd. In the first place, the FCC is our communication system. They're the last ones in the world that would stop you saying crap. Amos. Just ask me anything, I'll just tell you everything in the world. Okay, I'm going to cop out. I'm going to tell you something. Okay, yeah. I really disapprove, you know, of people in show business, but I'm going to tell you something very interesting. I was up in San Francisco, and a guy said to me, you ever smoke any DMT? So I said, no. I said, I don't like pot, I don't like the high. He says, make it, it's very good, you know. I said, wow. He says, here's some LSD. Take this, and take this DMT. It's a weird thing. Smoke it. I went, no, smoke it. He says, take another poke. He says, take another. He says, till the jewels fall out of your eyes. I said, oh yeah, yeah. All right, so I took another poke, and then I went, really just a... I always heard that nonsense about colors and all that bullshit, you know. But I really did see, like, all cascades and... Oh, it's really groovy. Then we just run away. Okay, now comes over the next night, and he's here. Lay some on me, okay. Now, I should tell you the punchline first. I find out... No, I'll tell it backwards, okay. I took the thing, you know, smoked it again, took LSD. All right, then I'm in the hotel room, see, and this friend of mine is a chick there, and I'm starting to talk to them, but I don't realize I'm talking out loud, and I get something going in my mind that man has risen above the rule, that what we've done is that we've practiced the form so much that we've lost the essence of the form, and now what we're dying from is the knowledge. Our intelligence kills us. In other words, I felt that the thing that does us in is the shock. But if you take the shock away, and I said, I'm going to show you. I'm going to break the window out, and I'm going to head right for the cement, and you'll see nothing will happen. Because I know what I'm going to do, and it's just, you'll see, it'll work. All right. There's two people watching me. Okay, now, wham, 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 and a whole big window there. It took about a half hour, big post there. Now, there's people across the street from the Bank of America in shock, waiting for the bus, standing in front of the bank there, in Broadway, you know, in San Francisco. Okay, but then there was that threshold question there, you know. Like, well, all right, I believe it, yes, okay. Pam! Okay, lucky I was a bad diver in school, and I went like this, just in time to land on my ass. Okay, now, I'm still like completely out of it. And now comes the police cars. Now what went on in my mind is that if I could say something to them that was so bizarre and do the most vile thing, the most repugnant thing that they could ever think of, and they see nothing would happen, they would say it didn't make the rule. So there's a big cop there, grabbed his genitals, I kissed him again, he started, don't touch me! I said, well, see, nothing happened with it, and I'm not a faggot, and I just show you. Okay, now my friend is like in shock, because he saw me do that, and then doing that to the cop, and... Yeah. I went to the hospital. Because I broke my legs, my ankle, and forget it, you know. And when I woke up, I didn't know where I was, you know. And first this doctor said to me, what did he say? What day is it? And here's a funny thing about responding to people. I thought I was, and at this time, you know, I thought I was really, my concept of responding to someone, when I respond to them, is I entertain them. So when he said to me, what day is it, what struck me funny is that he probably would have concussions, I assume, that fighters, you punch him, so what day is it, what's your name, so you see they have no concussion. But he doesn't know that the economy is up and nobody has any time payments anymore, and nobody knows what day it is. So I told him that, and he thought that was very responsive. So he said, more ridiculous, and he said, well, where are you? You know, and I said, well, I knew I wasn't in a Jewish hospital. And I really learned something very groovy there. That as a Jew, till that point, I always equated medicine with kindness, which is bullshit. In other words, the doctor, to me, that's a good doctor, is a bullshit. How are you? And the doctor that's surly is not the good doctor. And so then, actually, the county hospital is no drag at all. When you know that everybody's just, and that's where it's at. Yeah, that's county. It was very strange. I was there for a day and a half, then I went home, and I'll never take that again. Oh, yeah, the punchline, yeah. The punchline is that I talked to a doctor about this DMT, and he said, DMT, where'd you get that? That's a classified drug. That's what he mean. He said, well, that's an experimental drug. They first developed it for shock, to replace electric shock, you know, but it got too out of hand, so the War Department took it over. And it's a, what is it, No, it's not. It was a deliriant. A deliriant. How about that? It's like an ass, right? They really come up with something. Deliriant! And they go, oh, yeah. Now, the rich children up there, up in the tier, that's I saw on television, I saw Princess Margaret, that poor schmuck and her husband. My whole life, I've watched them just go around in cars and shaking hands with people, that's right, and Prince Philip, and they just keep wailing around New Guinea. Here they are, there they are, there they are. They're really simpletons, that whole group. Yeah, there was Madame Chiang Kai-shek. There was a whole group of just absolutely destitute of any kind of motive. It's just eat in restaurants and keep moving around, shake hands. And yeah. By the way, Goldberg is a complete moron, the guy that's on the UN. Yeah, oh, think what happened. The Supreme Court, you're like to say really a schmuck out of it completely. So what must happen? They aced him out and gave him another gig. Yeah. The Capra judges in that court are Douglas, Daddy, black, heavyweight. Byron's a moron. He's out of it. Harlan is a nun. Yeah, very. Forget about it. He was an ex-attorney general, so he's really kind of authority mind. The Chief Justice is another simpo. Yeah, see, that's where. Cushing is a true priest. Spellman is Shirley Temple. So the difference between Cushing and Spellman is the same thing between. That's where Douglas is and where Warren. Like, no good statesman ever goes on the road. If anything with the Kennedy thing, that was embarrassing. What the hell was he doing there, the Chief Justice? Yeah, you know, one thing that really did open my eyes about and you really should watch for it, ballistics. All the times that scientific methods take over the witness, it's really dangerous for the people. Because always behind, because it seems very innocuous to the people. Well, I mean, the machine can't lie, but you got the man behind the machine. So what happens, all tape recordings and any kind of that scientific way to, all the people must have got sent to the chair for the bullet went this way and the trajectory, and it was all bullshit. Because nobody knew that. Yeah, the FBI was like a post-toasties box thing. Think what happened. I went to the FBI. I was, I'm very hung up in the civil rights area. So I really went procedurally. I went to the Attorney General, no zope, And then, so he said, well, you should go to the FBI. There's this conspiracy count, So I went to the FBI office and I was really impressed. It's pretty beautiful, big thing there, and it really knocked me out, So I said, yes, I'd like to see a member of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A secretary asked what it's about. That's the greatest joke in the world when secretaries ask what it's about. So you start to tell them, and they go, okay, well, I'll say, okay, now it comes out, two guys look like Tommy Harmon, another college football player. And really cute cats. So one guy, he's got like we get in a room, and it's about 4 by 4, and he takes out a little black wallet, and he goes, I thought that's okay. That's all right. He says, okay, now he gets out a pencil and paper, and another guy sits there. The other guy fell asleep right away. He said, now, what is it? I said, well, I have a complaint to make under Title 18-241 that there's a conspiracy to violate my federal rights. Well, now, how do you figure that? Well, the facts of the case, I start telling him. He said, well, those people are New York you're talking about. We're in San Francisco. I said, well, see, you have federal jurisdiction. You're not an office here, He said, well, he's about that conspiracy. That's then I saw like it was I was embarrassed. So I figured I'll cop out and he'll be cooler. I said, well, I said I'll be truthful with you that nobody agrees with me on that point. I told you that. See, no, you can't. So actually, since what it is with the sad rights of the rather sad history of the civil rights, is that no attorney knows about them, knows what the hell a civil right is. That is a legal right. It's not your right to do anything. And so what happens is that all these cats go into court and they just don't know where it's at. And I forgot where I was at. It's beautiful. I was going to bullshit for another minute, but I blew it completely. What do I think of whom? Oh, no, Ralph Ginsburg. Okay, what I think is that the Solicitor General is not too bright, and I read the brief, and they don't know what's happening at all, with the law. And I'll tell you what it is. See, what happened in 1961, they put a phrase in, utterly without redeeming social importance. That's a negative thing. That's an element of the offense. Art can't get into court, because that's what the crime is, that it's utterly without art. So there can't be any bust until that issue is decided. You see, the crime, that's not a defense to a prosecution, that it has redeeming. It just, you can't defend yourself with a crime. So there is no, so all these cases are just bullshit nonsense. It's like, here's the opinion. We got Lady Chatterley's Lover here, which is a very classic book, and we have Tract Home Chippy. Now, if you look at these two books here, we've got Lady Chatterley's Lover, D.H. Lawrence, really can write. You've got Silk Sheets, Champagne. Tract Home Chippy, the just disgusting. We've got a couple of virgins. And you go back to Lady Chatterley's Lover, there's the guy who's been around. He's got music, 3 broads there. I mean, it's a pleasure to read romance stars. Now you go back to Tract Home Chippy. This man's groping and touching her, and he's no expertise, no finesse. And just no contraceptives. Sex in its basest form. He got her pregnant on the opening night. It was just, now you go back to Lady Chatterley's Lover. There's a nice, tasty way of doing things. That's all bullshit. I mean, in other words, there's no story. The court's not put upon to say you married Jane, and it's a nice way the story ended out. In other words, people, why do you have to say that? You have to passion play. You take Christ out of the crucifixion if it offends people. You can't. The theater's make-believe. You can yell fire in a crowded theater if it's on stage. Just make-believe, make-believe. And what the court is hung up with is that it's really strange. If you get accused of pornography, then anyone who would defend you is defending pornography. It's like, well, the conclusion they make is since most people have to take their clothes off when they have sex, everybody with their clothes off is having sex. So anybody naked is going to do it, which is not the law. And with sexual freedom, I think where that's at is that, again, with a tribe. The reason the tribe is always against that is that nobody wants to babysit for anybody but their own kids. And it's a pain in the ass to be a guy working and have to take care of 15 other kids on welfare. Because that's what it is. The burden falls on the wrong father. So until, let's legalize abortions. There's 50,000 doctors fighting against that, Hey, lobbyists, you're ruining the business now. It's, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course so. No, I have no political eyes at all. Oh, well, I was in Chicago. In Chicago, I was, the arrest report said, no, here's what the arrest report said. His act is a degrading dissertation on the Catholic Church, the Jewish religion, the acts of the courts of the United States, the police in general. In Chicago, I was arrested. He said it made a mockery of the Catholic Church, which I did. You hear the whole thing around. And I got a year there. But they reversed it. They only reversed it because they were embarrassed at a decision that the Supreme Court came down with. That's another kind of terrible thing, that they're, under the Constitution, they're the supreme law. They say what the law is. They're the daddies. Not people, but the court itself. And the people who are subversive, really subversive, look to subvert that legally constituted authority. And probably, that's what I hope to. I really hope to bust the Attorney General. All right, can I sing off? That's why I say, Lotta. Okay, later. Thank you. By the way, I really feel very incomplete. But if I wouldn't have told you that, it wouldn't have been that way. I should have bullshitted. You wouldn't have told you that. Didn't tell you that. That's not my regular good stuff. He has his real good stuff. He does at these small schools with money. And so.